Welcome to Bullets, Pickler Wealth Advisors' monthly market update, where each month I'll break down the major economic and political activities happening in our world. No frills, no jargon, just the facts. This month, our Artistry and Advising series highlights Banksy, an anonymous street artist whose work blends simplicity with deep emotional resonance, reminding us that sometimes the smallest images carry the greatest meanings. Did you know that Banksy's Girl with a Balloon was actually partially shredded moments after being sold at auction? Far from ruining the piece, the unexpected moment transformed into a new creation, titled Love is in the Bin. What seemed like a mishap became a masterpiece. A reminder that unexpected turns can lead to lasting impact. Looking back at the month of June, and oh my goodness, what a month it was. A month that we saw so many major issues all really converging, beginning with geopolitics, where we saw the United States in a very significant move attacking Iran, with our B-2 stealth bombers, ending effectively the 12-day war between Israel and Iran that threatened to spread into a much larger conflict. We don't know yet how much damage was done to Iran's nuclear enrichment program and the bomb development, but we will be watching it as we move forward. Shortly thereafter, President Trump went to Brussels for the NATO meeting, where he achieved a historic success, getting the NATO nations to agree to allocate 5% of their individual GDP to that common defense for NATO. We saw a continuation of the battle between President Trump and Fed Chairman Jay Powell, as the Fed met once again in June and made the decision not to cut interest rates, something that very much angered the president. As a result, the president has talked about the possibility of acting early, even though Powell's term as chair does not end until next May. Trump has floated the idea of appointing a new Fed chair early, someone that might serve in a shadow Fed chair role. That could be very interesting. The third major issue was what used to be called the One Big Beautiful Bill. Yes, Chuck Schumer in the Senate took away the title One Big Beautiful Bill, but we did see where in the late hours of July 1 that the Senate did actually pass by one vote the One Big Beautiful Bill, and we are now looking at the possibility, if in fact we can see that in the House Conference Committee, that we can get the House to agree to the changes that the Senate made, that we could see massive improvements in terms of the tax bill. We could see tax certainty. We could see less regulation. Another major issue was the trade deadline, which we'll be talking about in the month of July. Will Trump extend the deadline on those imposed tariffs, or will we have once again the threat of the massive tariffs that could lead to a global recession? We also in the month of June saw the market strikes back. And when the empire strikes back, it was the market strikes back. And overcoming the geopolitics, overcoming the Fed war, overcoming the trade fears, that the S&P and the NASDAQ saw new highs. And we also saw on the backs of very strong corporate earnings and a stable labor market. And as we look forward to the future, there seems to be a revival in the artificial intelligence trade. And also we saw improved consumer sentiments with the idea of moderating inflation. All of this very positive, and the reason why the markets hit all-time highs for both the S&P and the NASDAQ. Moving forward to the month of July, I feel like we're going back in time, and Donald Trump as Monty Hall. Let's make a trade deal. Let's make a tax deal. Let's make a peace deal. As we go into the month of July, there is a sense of cautious optimism, a bit of uncertainty still. We know that July has been historically a very strong month. Its average being up 2.9% during the month of July, and for the past 10 consecutive years has been up. We do know as we go into July that there is a possibility of a Fed rate cut, especially if we get a deal done on tariffs. We also know that we'll begin looking at corporate earnings for the second quarter. They'll begin on July 15th. We still have that policy uncertainty because of the fact that we do have that July 8th deadline coming up for the tariffs. And we do still have the policy uncertainty as it relates to Fed rate cuts. If in fact they will cut now, as some people believe, or wait till September, which is where I believe is probably going to end up. We'll be watching to see if that artificial intelligence rally we saw beginning in the month of June will continue. And certainly we'll be watching if in fact the tariffs are reimposed. Will that cause a reacceleration of inflation? Overall, there's a lot of fog in the data, a lot of fog in policy. And we need to clear that fog and really bring clarity. We need to make sure that we get a deal formalized with China. We need to get a deal formalized with Japan. We need to get these trade deals put to bed and put the tariff issue behind it so the economy can move forward without concerns of a global recession. We need to bring closure on this one big beautiful bill. Get that tax certainty. Get that reduced regulation that can stimulate the economy. And certainly we'll be watching to see if the peace that has currently been negotiated in between Iran and Israel will hold. Remember, long-term impact comes from knowing when to offer comfort and when to challenge, as Banksy said. Art should comfort the disturbed and disturbed the comfortable. The best advice does the same. It steadies us in uncertain times and encourages growth when we're standing still. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, at Pickler Wealth Advisors, our family, delivering solutions for your family. This is our passion. This is our purpose. Together we plan. Until next time, I'm David Pickler, and these are the Market Bullets.